What does commercial lettuce like this that you find at Costco, grown at a big mega farm out here on the California-Arizona border, have to do with small-scale farming? Well, apparently a lot. So stay tuned in this episode to find out what it has in common coming up. When I first started out my journey in California way back in 2003, I lived in the Imperial Valley. That's in eastern Southern California, down by El Centro, Brawley, Hopeville, Calexico. That's where I got my start in California for the first year, and that's a big agricultural region, which is a bit surprising because if you fly over that region of the country, you'll notice one thing. There's really not much growing except where it's irrigated. It's a desert, and they grow a lot of crops out there, from vegetable crops to alfalfa. There's a lot of agricultural production that comes from that part of the state, and it's all done by flood irrigation. Similarly, that part of Arizona around Yuma, which borders California right there, they grow a lot of crops as well. And one crop that they grow a lot of during the winter is salad mix, just like you see here. This company, Taylor Farms, is one of the farms that does a lot of growing out there. And they're the ones that produce a lot of the organic salad mix that you find at places like Costco and are being shipped via services like Cisco to restaurants all around the country in the winter months. But the interesting thing about this, being that it's from Taylor Farms, is one of the people I interviewed recently, Brian Bates, who's coming up on the podcast this Wednesday with Farm Small, Farm Smart, episode 116, he actually spent a week last January, working at Taylor Farms on their harvest crew. So here you have a small-scale farmer farming with his wife and a few employees on 1.5 acres up in Petoskey, Michigan, coming all the way out to this part of the world to work on a harvest crew where all he's doing is harvesting lettuce all day. Why did he do it? The main reason was curiosity. He wanted to know what it was like. Here he is as a small-scale farmer, and a lot of times you talk about the bigger scale farms and they're kind of the evil thing. Well, he wanted to see firsthand what it was like. How are they doing what they're doing? How are they producing as much lettuce as they are? How evil is the evil? My words, not his. To put this into context, here's what Brian has going for him on his farm. 1.5 acres under production. On that 1.5 acres in peak summer season, he's harvesting about 100 to 125 pounds of salad greens twice a week. So 250 pounds of salad greens each week, and he's harvesting around 500 heads of lettuce each week. To put that into context, when he was out harvesting for Taylor Farms, harvesting lettuce just like this, in one day or part of one day, they harvested around 60,000 heads of lettuce on a crew made up of something like 20 people. It was an amazing experience for him to harvest that much in that short period of time. One big takeaway from him coming out of that was how efficiently they do everything. You have a limited amount of staff harvesting that much lettuce. There's something that can be learned there when it comes to small scale production. And that's the point of this whole episode. That's the big takeaway. One thing that came up a lot when I was talking to Brian is he kept saying something along the lines of, how could I not take something away from this experience? Because I would ask him questions like, did you see stuff at Taylor Farms that you could implement on your farm? Were there things that they were doing in cultivation that you could implement on your farm? Were they growing lettuce in such a way that you could draw from that and apply it to your farm, who's producing 200 pounds a week at peak? And his answer to that, and all the questions along those lines, started with something like, how could I not take something away from what they were doing? Which I thought was absolutely brilliant, because it shows that you can always learn something regardless of who's doing it and how they're doing it and whether you totally agree with it or not. It doesn't mean you have to do what they're doing, but at least look at how they're doing what they're doing and take away the good parts of it and apply it to your context, your ideology. You don't have to like how the salad mix is grown. You don't have to like the land usage and the water usage of how the salad mix is produced. But there's one thing that's actually happening here that's happening really well, is they're producing this salad mix cost effectively, efficiently. They're doing it really well, and they're producing a great product in the process. That's the goal really of all farmers, big or small. You want a product that customers enjoy. You want a product that has long shelf life. You want to have it produced profitably in the field, and you want to be able to harvest it economically and efficiently. That doesn't matter if you're on 1.5 acres like Brian or 1,000 acres like Taylor Farms producing lettuce for a mix like this. Those types of things translate. So when you look at the big picture, you can't exclude these examples. You have to look at what you can take away from it so you can apply it to what your situation is. In terms of takeaways, what are some takeaways that Brian had? Well, number one, fertilization. He realized after seeing Taylor Farms and what they were doing with their lettuce, he had to up his fertilization regime. He had to put more fertilizer into his fields to try and get a bigger yield, because one thing he noticed when they were harvesting out there is they weren't cutting these lettuce heads off right at soil level. They were actually leaving a lot of the lettuce in the field on the ground. They were kind of cutting it high up from the bottom, a little ways up. What that did is it kept the lower leaves down in the soil, the leaves that would catch a lot of the dirt from irrigation and wind blown, those stayed in the field, and then the top part, that's what came into the post-harvest processing area. So when you cleaned it, you started with a cleaner product just because that product was higher up in the field. Use those takeaways with caution. Don't just think that's what they're doing, that's what Brian's doing, that's what I have to do. I have to use more fertilizer, I have to harvest my lettuce higher. Just use them as thinking points. Would that work in your situation? Are you noticing issues that might mean that you need to apply more fertilizer? Are you noticing a lot of dirty product at the end of the day? Could harvesting higher lead to a cleaner product, a better product? Could it simplify things in post-harvest processing? The one key about these and how they tie together is, in order to harvest it higher up on the plant, you need to have an overall bigger plant. You need to have a big ass head of lettuce, because if it's a tiny little squabbly little head just sitting there on the ground looking all cute, if you cut it off a little bit high, you're not going to get any yield off that bed. So the way the high cut strategy works is by growing really big plants. That way you maintain your yield and you can still leave a bunch in the field. You may say, well, I'm leaving all that in the field, that's a waste. Yeah, that's part of it all. You're getting what you need to off the field, you're leaving what you can in the field. It all comes down to efficiency, profitability, how do the two fit together? And if you're tilling, you just till that matter into the soil at the end of the day, and you're adding organic matter to your soil. One other macro takeaway that Brian had from that experience was, we're all out here growing stuff. It's not glamorous, it's hard work, but we're producing food. And I think that's key. I think on some scale, we all like to think that we're better than other people. The way that we're doing things is better than other people. The grow bio-intensive is better than the market gardening style. Biodynamics are better than organic. Organic's better than conventional, whatever. At the end of the day, if you're into this space on a gardening level or a farming level, the goal is to produce food. And that's what a lot of people are doing. It's not glamorous, like Brian said, it is a lot of hard work. So if you're into this space, thanks for doing it. Keep at it, because you're not going to get credit for it, and you're going to work a lot of long hours and be tired, and you're not going to get paid a ton for it. So keep at it and enjoy it. If you want to learn more about Brian and everything that he's doing at Bear Creek Organics, check out the link below, and check out the podcast which comes out this week, Farm Small, Farm Smart, episode 116. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, but more importantly, I hope you do something with the information in this video to make an impact on your farm and in your life. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.